Hello ladies, welcome to your Zoom workout on Wednesday, and today it's Nicole has a messed up SI joint edition. So that means that today is going to be a little bit easier for me specifically. I will be verbally telling you the modifications and the progressions, and hopefully nothing is going to be so crazy that you won't know what to do. But just for me personally, I have to be really, really careful today. And that includes for the warm-up. So we're gonna go ahead and begin with our hands behind our back. We're going to start with a nice soft knee, and we're going to begin with some hinges. So we hinge, sending the tailbone back, keeping the spine in a neutral position, and then coming all the way back.
The next workout will begin in 60 seconds.
And we're getting started a whole 60 seconds early today. Beautiful. Now, as you're moving through this, it's very important that we don't curl the spine. We want to keep this really, really nice and stable. Pull the belly button in. And every time you come up to a high standing position, you're going to think about cinching the hips and the ribs together just a little bit. Not necessarily through a hard squeeze of the glutes, but with a nice tight core. Dave, did the camera turn off?
Yeah, we're having a little issue here right now, so just hang on for a second.
Okay, should I keep
Maybe
talking?
you can do, yeah, just do some kind of a...
Okay, so hopefully you ladies can still hear me a little bit. So you're going to continue with your hinge, and then when you come all the way up to standing, you're going to add one little calf raise. So you're going to send the hips back, and then you're going to come up.
Begin set one.
Beautiful. So we are now in set one. All of these moves are super, super mindful. And today's going to be all about making it hard because you're focusing so much, not because the move itself is that hard. Beautiful. Let's bring the hands to the chest. And you may notice I'm wearing my spooky tights. I've got bats all over my tights. I got these amazing things from my husband for my birthday because I like spooky things all year round. Hips back, hands to the chest. This time we're going to come up, calf raise, big arm circles. Now, as we go into our big arm circles, I want you to make sure that, again, your core stays nice and tight. We're avoiding any hyperextension of the lower back. A lot of times when the hands come out here, people like to pop that tummy out and sort of stick their butt out at the same time. I want you to avoid that. Good. You see Dave in the corner of the screen. All right, driving through those heels. Good, we're just gonna do this until the end of this last set. Last one. Good. Beautiful, and it is Halloween week. It's very sad for me, pandemic Halloween.
Stop, exercise.
Gorgeous. Let's bring the feet directly underneath the hips. Core is nice and tight. We're going to begin with a high knee, but I want you to do this real slow. Actually, you know what? You don't have to go slow. I do, though.
Begin set three.
Shifting your weight from side to side. Good. And again, you go at your own speed today, honestly. Like I am moving in slow motion all day today. So if you don't really feel warm and you need to pick it up a little bit, that is okay. There will also be times when I may tell you to do an exercise I find is not so great for me. I will stop, but y'all can keep going. Good. Now today we're going to need a pillow.
Stop, exercise.
As well as some small hand weights, or water bottles, or soup cans. You guys know the drill. You've probably been doing these for a while. Let's add an overhead reach with the hands. Good, belly button in.
Set four.
Beautiful, and this is set four. At the end of set four, you're gonna find a place on the wall. We're gonna do a wall sit. We're gonna get those quads, and then we're gonna do a compound set on the quads. If you've worked out with me on Zoom before, you probably know, or maybe kind of remember what that means, but don't worry. I'm always happy to remind you. Good. Very nice and slow. Again, if you want to add a quick high knee or pap, pap, pap to the top of your knees,
Stop, exercise.
that is A-okay by me. Gorgeous. So finding your place against a wall, I'm gonna come right over here against the pole. You can get a really good view of my bad tights. Walking those feet forward, not too far. You want to make sure that the knees are never in front of the ankles. They're always on top of the ankles or behind them. Good, making sure that your back is flat against the wall, that your core is nice and tight, weight is in the heels. You should be able to wiggle your toes just a little bit. And set one, just driving through the heels and getting a little bit of that burn through the thighs. Now, what you're gonna try not to do is put any weight on your hands on the thighs. That counts as cheating. Now, I've had ladies ask me, should I thrust the back of my head against the wall?
Stop, exercise.
Good, and take your breaks here if you need them. I'm gonna go through 2 sets, only because getting in and out of position here is a little bit tricky for me, but you are more than welcome to take a break. So ladies have asked me, should I place the back of my head against the wall? And the answer to that is only if it feels easy to. Like if you have that in alignment. For me, I can kind of feel the back of my ponytail is resting against the wall without too much effort, but I don't really want to tuck my chin in just so I can get the back of my head to the wall. Good, by now your quad should be burning. Again, weight in those heels. Knees on the same plane as the toes, meaning that they're never falling in toward each other, nor are they flaring out.
Stop.
Beautiful. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this break with lots and lots of care. Good. Hopefully you can do the same. Now, we probably don't have a big kettlebell or any significant amount of weight at home. So in order for you to make this harder for yourself, if you're so inclined, you can go deeper, meaning that your knees are going to approach 90 degrees. Either your side seam or the tops of your thighs parallel to the floor. I'm not going to do that today, but you should if you can. Good. Lower back, again, pressed against the wall. Belly button is in, chest is nice and open. And let's add a little bit of movement in the upper body. So we're going to bring the hands directly in front of the nose. Good. And here's your break. You can take it if you like. Hands directly in front of the nose. We're going to add one jab, pull it back in, and then the other. Now, it's pretty common for people who are doing jabs, punches like this, to want to add some rotation through the rib cage. I do not want you to do that today. Good. All right, this is set 4. At the end of set 4, we're going to find a place to take a seat. We're going to do those compound sets on your quads. Now, compound set basically means we're compounding the work on the same muscle group, but doing a different exercise. And as always, I'm going to do the easy version today, but y'all can do the hard one. Good.
Stop exercise and switch to the next station.
Ooh, all right. Very gentle. Moving real slow these days. I'm going to have you come on over, find a place to sit down. You can be on a chair, a stool, even on a couch. As long as you're not slouching into the couch, I want you to be up nice and tall. We're going to begin on the left leg with some quad raises. So, pulling that knee up, tap the toe to the floor, and repeat. Good. Now, there are a number of ways to make this harder. First and foremost, you can extend that leg, sort of drawing it up like that. You'll notice that the farther away the leg is from the point of movement, the harder it's going to be. I'm not going to do that today, but you should if you can. Another way to make this harder is to take your hand weight and rest it right on top of the thigh.
Stop exercise.
Good, here's your break. We are going to switch every time. Now again, the farther away the weight is from the point of movement, the more challenging this is going to be. So you can actually play with that. You can start real close, maybe that's a little easy, and then you can take it down and take it down, take it down.
Begin set 2.
What is right and challenging for you? Good, we're going to go ahead and do the other side. Now I'm going to be real careful here. It's good for me to do this stuff, but this is my wonky side, my right side. You want to know how I heard it this time? I was placing wine glasses on my coffee table. It is so sad. Of course, that's not the root reason. I think the root is ever since I've been back at work here, it's been very exciting. I've had access to this wonderful trail that y'all have in Puerto Madera, and I've been running more. A lot of times when you up your mileage, that can screw things up, especially if you've had an injury there before, which I have. Good, all right, set 3 back to the left.
Begin set 3.
Now keep in mind, make it harder if you can. Extend that leg. You can even keep it on the higher side like this, make the pulses real slow and real small right at the top. The one thing we want to avoid, I'm not going to demonstrate it, we don't want any bouncing. We want everything moving nice and smooth and beautiful. This is fun. It's kind of like I'm doing my rehab with you guys. And up nice and tall on those sit bones too. That's another thing. I want to make sure that your tailbone isn't tucking underneath you.
Stop exercise.
And that you're not caving or slouching through the core. Good. And we have one more set on the other side. Beautiful. Now for those ladies who have very few or no injuries.
Begin set 4.
And or lots of sort of physical awareness. When you're taken through sort of a slower, more mindful workout, and it's really not doing it for you, and you're like, I'm more advanced than this, I want to try something a little bit harder. If you know we're working quads and you want to do your quads today, you are always welcome to go into sumo squats or lunges or kneeling quad extensions. Basically, whatever you like better that's going to challenge you more, because basically,
stop exercise and switch to the next.
All right, we're going to go ahead, come on down to the mat on our hands and knees. I'm going to tell you right away, we're doing bird dogs, or at least I'm doing bird dogs. This, for me, is replacing my plank. So if you know that a bird dog is not going to be challenging enough for you, go ahead and give me a plank, but I am not going to be doing one today.
Begin set 1.
For a bird dog, ladies, you want to have your hands directly underneath your shoulders. Knees are directly underneath the hips. You're going to give me opposing extensions, meaning that if your right arm, is extending, your left leg is also extending. You're going to hold that for a hot second, come back to center, and switch on over to the other side. Now, there are a couple things I want you to keep in mind here. Number 1 is neutral hips at all times. So neutral hip means that your hip is not rolling outward. You are also not bowing through the lower back. And I'm going to go ahead and go through 2 sets. This technically is the break. You're welcome to take a break if you need to.
Begin set 2.
Good. Very nice. Now, if you find that you're sinking into one of your hips, you want to try to do your best to lift yourself out of it. If you're planking, just like if you're doing a bird dog, you want to make sure that that lower back stays neutral. You have a little tiny tuck of that tailbone, keeping that lower back flat. Core is really, really tight.
Stop exercise.
Good, now I am going to take my break here. I'm going to bring my knees all the way together and come back into a child's pose. Very nice. Take a nice deep breath in.
Begin set 3.
And exhale as you come on up. Good, and go ahead, begin again. I'm going to go at my own pace. You're welcome to hold a little bit longer if you want to, and or transition a little bit faster. Those are 2 ways you can make this a little more challenging. Of course, you're always welcome to hold that plank. But no matter what you're doing, lightly engaging the glutes and that belly button is getting yanked
exercise
through the spine. Good. I'm going to take a quick cat and cow here. Y'all can keep going. Sort of a choose your own adventure today.
Begin set 4.
Good. Last set. that's sort of appropriate. Did anybody read Goosebumps when they were younger? That might be a my generation thing. But they definitely had, I know they had choose your own adventure books with Goosebumps. It was fun because they were spooky choose your own adventure books. Beautiful, nice
Stop
flat
exercise
back.
and
Good.
switch to the next station.
All right, ladies. Now I'm gonna have everybody turn over onto their back and go ahead and grab your pillow. I'm gonna grab a squishy ball from right over here. Woo. And it kind of matches my tights. Yay. I love it when that happens.
Set 1.
All right. So lying on your back, you're gonna place the pillow or squishy ball between the thighs and give me a nice hard squeeze. You're gonna hold that for 5 seconds. Now for people who want this a little bit more advanced, you're gonna do this with your hips up off the mat. I am not doing that today. Good. 5 seconds. And then you're going to release for just a moment, and then you're going to squeeze again. 5 seconds, engaging those inner thighs. Belly button is in. Good.
Stop exercise.
Gorgeous. Now, for anybody who wants this a little bit harder, I'm not going to demonstrate it, but I'm going to go ahead and talk you through it. Hard squeeze of the ball. For the remaining sets, you're going to pulse your booty up and down with your hips up off the
Begin
mat.
set 2.
You're just going to keep that nice high pulse with this nice hard inner thigh squeeze. Good. Keeping those cores nice and tight. Now we're approaching the end of set 2. At the end of set 2, I would like you to take a small break if you haven't done so already. Beautiful. Make sure the breath is there. A lot of times we hold our breath.
Exercise.
Very good. Now, for this break, I'm going to have you take the pillow. You're just going to rock your hips just a little bit from right to left. Good.
Begin set 3.
Beautiful. Now, set 3, if you're feeling even crazier, you're going to keep that pillow between the thighs. You're going to pick your hips up off the mat. You're going to pick one foot up off the mat. Keep the thighs parallel to each other. And then you're going to bring the hips down and bring them up, all the while you're maintaining that squeeze. Again, I won't be doing that, but you are more than welcome to. You'll hold that one leg up for the entirety of set 3, and then set 4, you'll do the other side. That's sort of level 3. So if you find that, and here's the break. If you find that that bothers your lower back, just go ahead, go back into, it's interesting, go back into your regular pulses up off the mat.
Begin set 4.
Good. Now at the end of set 4, you can have you stay on your back. We're going to do some ab work. Now, if you have a sensitive neck today, let's see, what's a good way to do this? If you have a sensitive neck, we are going to be working primarily the upper abdominals, keeping the legs fairly stable. But it's important, if your neck is sensitive like mine is, one or both hands behind the head. And I like to cup my hands directly underneath.
Stop exercise and switch to the next
sort of
station.
in the center of the skull. I don't feel a lot of support when I grab just the neck. So, hands behind the head. And we can put the pillow to the side unless you want to keep doing your inner thigh work. We're going to come, we're going to just play with different kinds of pacing. So, belly button is in, lower back is flat. We're going to come all the way up and all the way down. We're going to do this real slow for this first set. Now, anybody who would like to, you're more than welcome to bring one foot or both feet up off the mat. Again, I am not going to do that today, but that is a wonderful progression. And we're basically trying to get our shoulders as high up off the mat as possible while still supporting the head. Supporting the head, but not pulling on it. So we want a nice wide elbow and an open chin. Good, and here comes the break right here. You can take it if you like. I'm gonna keep going. Good. And set 2, we're going to change the pace up just a little bit. We're still
Begin
going to be
set
going
2.
all the way up and all the way down, but now we're going to go with a little bit of briskness. And now we're going faster and going to a very steady rhythm. And now we really should be burning in those upper abdominals. Good. We're going to take a nice solid break at the end of set 2. A nice solid break at the end. I have to remind myself to keep it steady. All the way up, all the way down. Big range of motion. And as you're moving, you're still trying to pull that belly button into your spine.
Exercise.
There's the break. Fabulous. Go ahead and relax all the way down. You can start to relax your rib cage very gently up and off the mat. That's going to give you the tiniest little stretch. Good. Set 3. We're going to pulse it right at the very top. So get ready for this. Nice solid support of the head. You're going to come up as high as you can. Eyes to the ceiling. Chin is nice and open. You're holding it. And then we're going to pulse, pulse, pulse. Now, if your feet are on the floor, you're going to do your very best to keep them really light. I want you to imagine that there's a thin pane of glass right underneath your feet, and you don't want to press down real hard and crack it. We're not looking for any glute work or hamstring work here. This is all abdominals. Of course, you could solve that problem by pulling your knees to 90 degrees, but again, that's not required. Good, let's go ahead and take a little break just for your neck. You're gonna shake your head no very gently using your hands to support. Set 4, your choice. You can do all the way up, all the way down. You can do pulsing, or you can do this progression.
Begin set 4.
It's essentially a bicycle crunch, but without the legs. You are welcome to add the legs if you want to, but you'll notice I'm crunching up into one side and then up into the other. Getting a tiny bit of a twist through my rib cage. I'm basically trying to aim my elbow for the opposite knee. Good. And get as far as I possibly can without using my legs. I'm not using my legs out of necessity.
Stop exercise and switch to the next station.
All right, I'm going to have you roll to your side. And come on up. And you're going to take a seat with your hand weights. It's going to take me a little second to get there. Okay.
Begin set 1.
You've got your hand weights. And you're sitting fairly far forward in your chair. Weights are going to drop down by your thighs. Ideally, you're far enough forward in your chair that you can squeeze your elbows to your sides and still have a straight elbow. We're going to begin with a bicep curl. Good. Now, if you would like to do these standing, this next series is totally appropriate to do it standing. I'm just doing it seated so I get a little bit more stability. Keep those elbows close to the side seam. Shoulders are back and down. We're going to go right on through 2 sets. Keeping that core really nice and tight. We're trying not to use the upper body. No rocking back and forth. No swinging at the bottom. Full extension. Making sure that the elbows do not travel behind the body, nor do they travel up in front of the body. Very good. Squeezing the biceps at the top. Now, Nicole, is there a big difference between doing things seated and doing things standing? Yes. One of the biggest, and one of my favorites, is avoiding osteoporosis. A lot of times, people who have osteoporosis, osteopenia, good, let's go ahead and take a quick break, are told to do weight-bearing exercises. Any upper body exercise, if you can do it standing, bearing your own weight, that's going to go a long way toward helping to build your bone density, especially in the spine and the hips.
Begin set 3.
Good. Back to our bicep curls. You can try an open palm this time. This is going to feel, this is going to feel a little bit harder. For some people, though, it's not the best angle on the shoulder or the elbow. And once again, we're going to go right on through to 2 sets. Beautiful. This is another reason why they say higher impact cardio or weight-bearing cardio is good for osteoporosis.
Stop exercise.
So while I love the bicycle, I love swimming, I love the elliptical, those are all wonderful if you have an injury. They're not going to do a huge amount for your bone density. Walking and running are going to be the things.
Begin set 4.
Good. You can always do a mix. So if you have a knee that, you know, can tolerate some walking or some hiking, but maybe not more than like a day or 2 in a row, you can always hit the bike and then hit the trail, go back and forth. Just doing what your body can tolerate. Trust me when I say it's easy to want to push yourself too hard. Good, chest is nice and open, shoulders are back and down. Speaking of
Stop
shoulders,
exercise and switch to
we're
the
gonna
next
do those
station.
next. Again, very welcome to do these standing. I, however, am gonna remain seated. So, weights are stacked right on top of the deltoids. You can see they're literally touching my shoulders. Elbows are fairly close. I'm gonna keep them into the body, and we're gonna begin with a right pulse followed by a left pulse. Now here, whether you're seated or standing, when we're doing uneven work with the shoulders, there is a tendency for people to want to compensate by flexing their spine in one direction or another. Your job is to keep your core really tight so that doesn't happen. Now, if you're saying to yourself, you know, this pulse feels a little easy and like, I kind of want something a little bit harder, you're welcome to try a full shoulder extension. But here's the thing about a shoulder extension. You've got to get that bicep up next to your ear, full stacked position without any pain or impingement. If you end up like this, that is not a proper shoulder extension. Stacked right on top of the shoulders.
Begin set 2.
If you can't do full shoulder extension, but you still don't like these one at a time pulses, well then you're very welcome to do both at the same time. This is going to be harder because you're getting twice as many reps. This can also start to cause a little bit of tension up in the neck and the upper shoulder. So just be mindful. Pay attention. And again, just like I said before, you can always go back and forth between the two. Just because you want to try something doesn't mean it's a life sentence, doesn't mean you're committed to it.
Stop exercise.
Go ahead and take a little break. My shoulders are burning. I hope yours were as well. Good. So for the next couple of sets, I'm going to show you a couple of different variations. So that one I showed you, the elbows are real close to the body. This is more of a neutral position. So if you have any shoulder injuries, this is a pretty good one. However, if you want to try something slightly more challenging, you can bring the weights out to the side so that the elbows are essentially in line with your shoulders and your shoulder blades. We'll do alternating pulses. Beautiful. And once again, you're welcome overhead press, one at a time, or both at the same time, being mindful of the neck.
Stop exercise.
Good. I'm going to take a break here. You can keep going if you like. Beautiful. We have one more set here. Good. Last one. Get ready first.
Begin set 4.
You don't want to lose those precious seconds. Very nice. Head up nice and tall. Skull is stacked right on top of your spine. Again, just being super mindful. Think about your deltoids. Think about your shoulders. Think about trying to get that burn, controlling the pulses, controlling the movement. We're not bouncing, we're not popping. The core is tight, the spine is not compensating.
Stop exercise.
Beautiful.
The training
is now complete. Would you look at that? That's crazy. How fast that went. All right, very nice. If you're seated, we're going to do a nice little like fake child's pose. You're essentially going to fold your rib cage over the tops of your thighs, and then very, very gently let your head drop. If you're standing, you can take a seat and do this, or you can also achieve the same effect by holding sort of a narrow chair pose or squat position and folding yourself over your thighs that way. Let's take 2 deep breaths. Inhale deep. Exhale, try to relax, lengthen the spine. Good, 1 more, inhale. And exhale very slowly, very gently. Going to come all the way up. Roll the shoulders back and down. That is our workout, ladies. Let's see who we got.